Hello, greetings and salutations. Happy New Year to everybody. It's 2026, and I think it's going to be a phenomenal year. I've been looking forward to doing the show for the last couple of weeks. I'm like, man, 2025 is out. And by the way, 2025, I think some of us had a really, really strong year, but man, things are going to start kicking up, especially with everything happening in crypto. And lots of the OTC companies we have been covering have major catalysts and have had major growth. So I think 2026 is going to be a really, really strong year. Happy New Year to all you guys that have been following me. If you're watching this right now, leave a comment, ask questions. That's why we're here, is to do firsthand due diligence. And hey, share the content. If you're on X, by the way, we're streaming video on X. I can still see your comments. So if you have a question for any of the guests that we have today, make sure you just put them out there, because that is what we're here for. DD from the source. And I'm not going to waste any time. But by the way, we have Gabe Diaz coming up from SFWJ. We have Frank Iglesias from, guess what, OTC and Protocol. So if you've been sleeping on that, you're going to want to do some due diligence there. And then we also have Josh Cohen from AZRH. So a killer show lined up. And we have some deep dives and some updates for you as well. I'm going hardcore this year. We are hitting the ground running, and we're not going to stop. And so let's get this party started. I want to introduce the CEO of SFWJ, the one and only, a returning guest, Gabe Diaz. Let's bring him in. Gabe, welcome back to the BFC. As you can see, I'm jacked up and ready to go. How you doing?
Eric, thank you for having me. I am doing fantastic, and it's always a pleasure to be here. Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to the BFC investors.
And one thing I will say is that you always participate in a BFC virtual conference. You always put together some really nice presentations. So guys, make sure you watch those virtual conferences. The last BFC VC 1 and 2, you did some great presentations. So good job on that, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now I want to get into just a couple little details here before we get started. You know, you guys have a rather tight share structure. And right now you're sitting at a $680,000 market cap, and you are beaten up right now stock-wise. And I'm looking at this line on the bottom, and it looks like we're at the ground floor right now. And so one thing I want to discuss that a little bit, because I really think that this is a perfect opportunity for you guys. And by the way, disclaimer was there. This is not financial advice. These are just my thoughts and opinions, and this is for entertainment purposes only. But I see such a golden opportunity here for traders. And one thing I will say is that that's one thing that we're going to get into is your first harvest overview. So a little bit about the stock itself and the share structure and your thoughts on that.
So, not advice, but we are definitely at the floor. We are absolutely at the floor. What we are seeing, in my opinion, is the effects of reversing into a shell. This is a shell that's been around since 1991. We've got a lot of outstanding shares that hadn't moved in many, many years. When investors started to see volume, when people that were holding this stock started to see volume, they decided to dump the shares. And this is exactly what's happened. We don't have any fundamentals to report yet because we've just done our first harvest. Our Echo 2.0, our ag tech company, is just going to report profits at the end of this last quarter. So because of that, there hasn't been any solid movement. The investors tend to think that the fundamentals aren't there, but the operations and the fundamentals are definitely there. They're definitely going to be showing. So we are at the ground floor. It's terrible for me. It is phenomenal for anybody that wants to invest in this company. It is phenomenal for anybody that wants to invest in this company, because this is when you should get in. Don't get in when it's back up to the 4 or 5 cents. Well, I actually continue to get in because we're going to take it much higher. But this is a humongous opportunity, especially with what's coming and the news that we have all over. We were blessed with a phenomenal year last year all around, and I'll talk about that a little bit. And so, yep, we're in a good spot, guys.
That's great. And I will say, guys, tonight we have 3 guests that are transparent as hell. Gabe here is always posting, always updating. And by the way, for a company Twitter account, your Twitter account kicks ass. It really does. The visual updates, and so if you guys aren't on X, and I know some people comment on YouTube, oh yeah, well, I don't have X. Get X, get with the times, because you're missing information from companies directly, where you could engage with companies directly. So invest in X. I want to play a video. And I want you to sort of walk us through it. This was your Q1 harvest, and then you have some slides to show for us as well. So can you care if I just show that video real quick?
Absolutely. Let's go through it, and I'll walk you guys through some of the stuff that happened.
Cool.
So what we're seeing is the first harvest we did at November 19th. It was 3,800 plants. That is the greenhouse that we're currently growing in, and that is the production facility, the drying facility. That's a picture of what we generated. Our yield was
wait. That facility. I'm going to go back. This facility right here, and I'll just let it keep going. But the facility that you showed us, how? Damn it! Here, I'm gonna go back. All right. So if I could pause it right here.
Yep, that is half an acre. Okay, we have the ability to do 20,000 plants. We're doing them in cycles in order to maintain the processing facility in a linear process so we can harvest continuously. And so we've kicked that off at this point. The first harvest was the 3,800 plants. We have another harvest coming in the next, I believe it's 4 weeks, that we've got 2,500 plants. The next harvest after that, which is another 3,800 plants, is going in 2 weeks.
How many of these can you do?
So the intent is to continue to grow this on a quarterly basis. We're going to continue to add this much space. However, because yield was almost double what we expected, we're going to put the brakes on it just a little bit because we need more processing facilities at this point. These are first world problems. We're super happy, but we realized that the plastic that we got, that the methods that we're using are literally yielding not twice as much, because we were expecting an initial yield. We doubled that, and then we came out at about 175% of that revised yield. So we're very, very happy. So there you can see the processing facility. It was not a miracle, but it was amazing that we finished that processing facility. This is what you're seeing. This is the 3,800 plants being harvested. We started out with 5 people harvesting. We ended up with 15. We were super happy with the yield, super happy with the amount of buds per plant. It was a phenomenal feat. I think I show up there on the video. I actually went in with my commercial director from Echo 2.0. Everybody went in and helped on the harvest because we were so tight. That's actually me trimming. That is the drying facility. The drying facility, if you can pause that, let's go. Yeah, so this was one of the greater successes of last year. We built this facility in record time. We put it up in 4 months. The cost of this facility in the U.S. would have been $400,000 to $500,000. We did not spend. We spent $150,000 building this. We overspec'd it and we overshot, which is a phenomenal mistake that we made, because what happened is we were expecting to dry in 20 days, a full production of 3,800 plants. We ended up drying in 15 days. And not only that, with the method that we used, you can kind of see some rollers at the top. We're able to space out the way we're hanging the plant for it to dry. And we have determined that we have the ability to hang up to 5,000 plants per harvest. So this doubles our capacity again to get more flowers in faster and to dry them out. And by the way, we're using half of the capacity of the facility. We put in 2 humongous air drying machines, 2 humongous AC systems, and we ended up using half of that, using half of the electricity we're expecting to. So let's go forward now. You can see this was day 5, and we already had, as you can see, it all goes in from one side, it leaves to the processing side at the other side. It's a linear process. It has to be sterile for pharmaceutical, and so we're able to move those things. Now, this is where we did the first harvest. This is the non-sterile side. We trim the plants enough to be able to dry, and then we ship them down to the drying facility. And as you can see, there's about 15 people working there. That is the second harvest that we're about to harvest right now that you can see in the background. This is the way that the process works. It enters through one side, and this becomes a sterile environment, and then from there on, it's sterile all the way to the end where we hand it off for shipping on the other side of the building. Right now, we are in the process. This flower has been dried. This flower is being trimmed at this point. We are Again, first world problems. We're expecting to have 5 people trimming. We're really going to be using about 12 to 15 people, which is huge. And so we're very, very happy. In order to get the volume that we have out, we're just going to need to have a lot more people. We're developing these people. We're training. These are local people that are making 140% of local salaries, which we're very happy about. We get to impact the local community in a phenomenal way. All right, so there you can see again the drying facility,
dude, that's phenomenal. And the fact that one, you're a good employer. Two, you undershot, which is great. I mean, I've been watching you from, well, it's been a year and a half now, and everything that you've been doing is stuff that you said that you were going to do. So you laid out the plan very, very well.
It's been a long road. It's been hard to get here, but we have been blessed. The harder we work, the luckier we get. And again, last year was just phenomenal. This was just the side of MedCana production, right? THC cannabis. But I've got some good stories on Echo 2.0 as well that I haven't talked about in quite a bit. Tell me what your next question is, or we can. I'm just rolling with it. And by the way, guys, if you have a question, that's why we're here, is to do due diligence. So be sure to throw a question in there. And I'll tell you, Gabe, and you were, I know back in the day, like it was like maybe 4 months ago, you had a funding, you were worried a little bit about that, but it looks like you guys are grinding on all cylinders. Like it's full steam ahead. Now that crop, for example, that's sold, that's gone, correct? So this is where we're at. Last time on the update, I told you guys we were at chicken and egg, right? Because it all depends on the certificates of analysis that we get back from testing. Right now, we are expecting to get that testing back Thursday or Friday. So we're still chicken and egg. We can't send the flower to testing until it's dry and processed. And so the first batch went out 2 weeks ago. Christmas and New Year's got in the way. Colombia takes Christmas and New Year's very seriously. So they're back at work, hopefully this week, and we should have results back. We have 4 LOIs lined up, all serious buyers, all long-term buyers. We had one more pop up during our Christmas party. We had a visit from Poland. Poland is going to open up pharmaceutical cannabis. Wow. And so now we have 4 very serious buyers lined up, all waiting for the COAs to be able to come back and give us, and we're going to be able to negotiate and start working these long-term contracts. But, Eric, we have been blessed. Right now, we are the second largest producer of pharmaceutical grade cannabis in Colombia. Okay. We're about to be the largest. We are also the only ones that don't have contracts for all the flower that we're producing. What that did, though, is last year in early December, Congress in Colombia approved pharmaceutical cannabis, flower, for the open market. Regulations are supposed to be emitted by March 27th, and March 28th, we can go to market with pharmaceutical grade flower. We are the only producer at this point that will have a harvest that has flower to be able to put it in pharmacy shelves on March 28th. So that just opened up another window of opportunity where we're going to decide how much we hold back to make sure that by March 28th, we have enough to stock the pharmacies that are already calling us to stock this product. So we're in a very, the global market continues to expand. The local market is going to be huge. We're talking about 55 million Colombians. We're expecting 5% to be using this, which is about 10% is what's being used in Australia. At 40 grams per person per month, do the math. It's astronomical. Just Colombia will eat up all of our production. But again, we're focused on multiple markets, multiple contracts, multiple growth. So we're very happy where we're at. Expectations on the COA are super high, super high. The buds look phenomenal. The terpenes look phenomenal. The THC content we're expecting just nothing but excellence.
I will say, like this, and this is why I've said this is the best cannabis plan in the OTC, and people could disagree with me. This is my opinion, and I say that because you guys aren't beholden to the regulations and the lack of progress that our congressmen make on a daily basis. All right, so basically, he doesn't need the scheduling. He doesn't need any of that shit. He's
Correct.
doing it. He has a global market. Now, my question is for you, how much better does it get when they start to lax restrictions in the United States?
So not only, okay, again, more good news at a global level. The US leads the pace for anti-narcotics globally, right? For all the anti-narcotics pacts and all of the legislation and all of the regulation globally, it's always been the US leading that. By descheduling, okay, just by President Trump emitting that order to deschedule, it relaxes all of the global standards for anti-narcotics. So this was a huge global win. It's even though the US is still in process, what it does for all the other countries that are looking to deregulate and to implement pharmaceutical grade cannabis, it makes it a lot easier for them because now they're not fighting against the current, which was typically fighting against the US because these drugs were on that schedule. So it was a phenomenal win for us. It's not immediate that we see this, but again, Poland is very close to legalizing. Czech Republic has legalized pharma flower. All of these countries that are looking to go, that we're having to do a tremendous amount of work to be compliant, it now makes it easier for them to be able to legalize pharmaceutical grade cannabis.
Excellent. And we did have a question from Rodney. Oh, Rodney, one of my favorites. Any dilution debt conversion? All right. So how are we looking in there?
Not expected, guys. We've got convertible debt, but we are not expecting any major conversions. Listen, right now we're at a point where we've almost made it. Not almost. Echo 2.0, which I haven't talked about, carries us the full way through. And so we're not expecting any major. It's funny because banks want to give you money when your stock is low. Banks want to take everything when your stock is low. We're not at that point anymore. We're at a point where now we're going to raise the stock price. Now we're going to show results. And then we'll start looking for capital. It's going to be a lot less expensive for us, and it's going to dilute our investors a lot less.
All right. I'm going to see how, well, guess Rodney, we're going to see how 2026 comes along. Now, you had some slides that you wanted to share with us, right?
I do. I mean, I just want to, I've been presenting, okay, I'm showing that, right? It's
infrastructure and operations.
All right. So infrastructure and operations, just a reminder, we're located in Antioquia, Colombia, an hour and a half from Medellin. Unique advantages are our altitude, the spring-like climate. We get 4 growing cycles a year, optimal cultivation environment, 12 hours of sunlight, 90 inches. It's 74 inches of annual rainfall. I don't know why I got 90. Significant labor cost efficiency, and 4 annual growth cycles. Where we were last time, and I'm going to go through this kind of quick because what I love being on your show because it keeps us honest, it keeps us transparent, and every time I show you guys the old slides, I'm going to be updating to the new ones. So where we were last time, the planting cycles have begun. I'm going to go through this kind of fast. The next cycle started in 2 weeks. We started that test with non-pharma CBD. We are about to harvest that in about 3 weeks as well. We had to double the size of the processing facility. We did that. Expected growth of the additional space is on hold, like I mentioned, just because we got so much production. Pharma certification is in process. Everything, roads, rainwater collection, we're fully licensed, strong relationships with authorities. The climate remains calm, guys. I know you've seen a lot of stuff in the news. President Petro is very vocal. He's a little bit off the chain. He is 100% pro-cannabis, though, and he's 100% probably out just because of the way Colombia's not happy with him. The U.S. isn't happy with him. So we have a very good relationship with the local authorities, with the governor of the state of Antioquia, with the mayor. So we're in a good spot. Where we are today, the planting cycles have begun. Again, we've got the 3,500 plants that were harvested. The next cycle is in process. The next cycle for 3,800 plants begins in 3 weeks. So the machine has begun. We're doing this. We're not going to stop at this point. We are completing this test with non-pharma CBD in semi-open space for quick cash flow. It's in process. Everybody is growing THC. Demand is so high for THC that what's happened with CBD is prices have gone through the roof. It's not pharma grade. And we have some buyers in Czech Republic that are offering some great prices. Our production cost in this very light infrastructure is about $50 per kilogram, which is crazy low. So we're going to see how that goes. We're very happy with the results so far. We had to double the size of processing facility again, and that was the great success of this year. Pharma certification is in process, infrastructure, everything continues strong. Where we were with Echo 2.0, and I know we're running short on time, right? We got a couple minutes left. But let's talk about Echo 2.0. Echo 2.0, I brought over the commercial director, country director for Netafim as our director of commercial. He brought over some key accounts. We had $1 million expected in revenue last year. We're not going to hit that mark. We're going to get close primarily because the $450,000 contract with the largest flower company in the country, we were supposed to close that in December. We're going to close that in February. They added a bunch of stuff. This contract has increased, and so we're not closed out yet, and we didn't get paid for that. However, the revenue is we're not just going to make that up. We have some phenomenal contracts coming in as well. This show in Colombia, Agrifuturo, yielded some phenomenal opportunities. We have closed these opportunities. We are executing on these opportunities. We are billing on these opportunities. They're multiple deals between $200,000 and $300,000 each. We continue. All right, so I kind of jumped in. Let me go where we're at today. So we entered the blueberry infrastructure market. Colombia is about to explode with blueberries. The U.S. consumes an inordinate amount of blueberries, and there's a window where Peru and Chile aren't producing, and this leaves Colombia wide open. We partnered with a humongous grower that is setting up a plant to be able to process and export to the U.S. And what he's doing is he's giving us the clients that are going to grow for him as a turnkey. So we're building the infrastructure for these clients for them to grow blueberries at a rate of 10 to 15 hectares. That's 20 acres every quarter.
Wow.
And we're expected to do about 500 hectares, which is about 1,000 acres in the next 24 to 36 months. Phenomenal deal. Again, we continue to be in negotiations with coffee producers. Coffee is a little bit harder. We're entering this market because it traditionally does not use irrigation. Yield goes up 40 to 60% once irrigation comes in, but they're slow to take this on. Distribution agreement with the largest irrigation pivot companies in the world. We closed that. You know those pivots that you see from a plane, those circular things. We closed a deal with this company. We're entering that market this year. A new agreement for production of greenhouses in the country with better cost. That's closed and doing phenomenally well. That's going to give us the advantage on the blueberry. We've created a local internship with a local university where we've got these irrigation design engineers that we're pumping out in a little town north of Colombia, and we will become the premier irrigation design firm as well as engineering firm. We are starting to outsource in irrigation design to Netafim and to other companies. So very good on that. And last year we became the largest distributor for Netafim, which is, in my opinion, the absolute best irrigation company on the planet. We sold more than any other distributor in the country. Where we are, just to finish out, guys, where we are, Australia, big news as well. We have the ability to import, process, and sell to pharmacies. We're starting to work on that. As soon as we get the certificates of analysis, we submit that and we start an export process for a first batch. Again, we've got the letters signed with Germany. We've got two customers pending in Australia as well. We've got the other letters of intent signed for Germany. We have the global demand that continues to grow. Expected shortage of product globally continues to be there. Clients waiting for first crop to run tests. We're still chicken and egg. And again, the other biggest win that we had was the legalization of flour, pharmaceutical flour in Colombia. So this is where we're at, guys. We're going to continue to grow this. We don't stop. I'm very happy to be able to give you guys this update. Eric, thank you so much for your time. Are there any other questions or?
Well, I will say, like, it's my kid's fault. My daughter loves blueberries. Like, they don't last in the house. They last. You come home from the grocery store, last a day. We're talking about doing 1,000 acres of them. And I mean, it's just crazy. So this is where Colombia. This is where the blueberries are going.
Let me give you one last thing. We are also, one of the things we didn't publish much, but we're in the process of training the doctors in Colombia on how to prescribe, right? We partnered with a medical firm, with a very important medical organization that is driving the pharmaceutical cannabis, and they're training our doctors, and we sponsored a couple of events for these doctors, right? And I got to speak with the premier cannabis doctor in Colombia, and I told her about the blueberries, and she says, well, guess what? Blueberries increase the potency of THC for medical delivery. And so who would have known? Now we've got blueberries and THC. But
yeah,
anyways, it's just an aside. We'll do some more research on that, and I'll publish some of that on X.
I think it's remarkable. I mean, to hear about the university partnership. I mean, dude, it's clicking on all cylinders. And so I love the stock. I love the business. I love how you're executing. And dude, congratulations, man, to a great 2025 and to an even better 2026, dude. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Eric, for having me. I look forward to giving you guys better updates and more updates. And again, the only opportunity right now is where that stock is. And that's it's a phenomenal opportunity. Phenomenal opportunity. So
there it is. You heard it here first. Man, Gabe, thank you so much. Now get out of here, man. Get out of here.
Take care. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Excellent as always. Great guest. Now we have another guest, man. This is fun. This is fun, man. I feel like it's been a drought. I've been in a drought the last couple of weeks not doing the show. We got Josh Cohen of AZRH, Vision Oil and Gas. We're not wasting time. Let's bring him in.
Hey, Josh, man.
Welcome to the BFC. Now, this is your first time on. Welcome.
Yeah, no, hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for inviting me.
You know, I gotta say, like I said today, guys, like these CEOs that we have on are ultra transparent. They engage on the X. They're constantly giving updates. I mean, and what you guys have done is phenomenal. So over the last 6 months, you've executed a rapid consolidation strategy in the Permian Basin, scaling to more than 1,060 producing and shut-in oil wells across multiple West Texas counties, now approaching 1% of the total Permian well count. You've done this through disciplined, all-stock acquisitions while also internalizing key operational services and with a clear goal of reaching 1,000 barrels per day by late 2026, this year. So the focus now shifts from acquisition to execution. So you've moved incredibly fast on acquisitions, going from dozens to over 1,000 in a matter of months. So
yeah, I mean, it's funny because, like, not to cut you off, but a lot of people think that it cracks me up. Like, I get a lot of criticism on X because I'm very transparent and I'm a loud personality. But at the end of the day, like, this is not just me talking. I run one of the best lower middle market A&D shops in America in oil and gas when it pertains to anything West Texas or Permian Basin from an E&P perspective and from an oil field services company perspective. And nobody can contest that. And a lot of that stems from running an investment bank that I built just around that industry alone. So I appreciate it, man. I mean, we've had a heck of a run in 25. 26 is about to be even better. And to clear up some rumors, we're just in the early stages right now, but we're I would say probably midway through the negotiations on our next play, our next IPO, which we're going to focus on Oklahoma. We're still just kind of nailing down what the name is going to be, even though I've already got the ticker. Pretty much the ticker's ready to go, and I'm just cleaning up one last bit. In fact, people already know the ticker. I'm just cleaning up, and it's already free trading. I'm cleaning up one last bit of the share structure because we are going to kind of shuffle some stuff around that we do have in the market. So I'm getting pretty excited for that. It's all, information that we've disclosed, appropriately through the channels through our acquisition. So, you'll never hear me talk about material non-public information. But yeah, no, that's it. And I don't know if we'll have time in 26 to squeeze in our next IPO after this Oklahoma play. But we are evaluating for our next IPO after this Oklahoma play outside of AZRH. We're looking at going into New Mexico, Canada. We want to make a play in Alaska. Alaska's a little bit more longer term reach for us. I've been getting a lot of inquiries recently about Venezuela. Here's the deal. We don't know if there's even an established secondary tertiary recovery market in Venezuela. I'm all ears and open. The truth is, though, is that Venezuela only produces about 1 million barrels of oil a day, which I don't want to say only, but that's small in comparison to the oil reserves that they have. So what that means is low daily production. Most of that gets consumed by the country and everybody that lives within that country. So not a lot gets exported, even though export is possible. But what people need to remember, right? Infrastructure costs a ton of money. I'm not talking about billions of dollars. I'm talking about hundreds of billions of dollars to replicate the infrastructure that a country like America has, okay, or like Canada has. That's what you have to do. Okay, so that's going to take a lot of time. Now, another thing to also, when I say infrastructure, I'm talking about refinery, I'm talking about pipeline, I'm talking about export capacity and facility, right? So I like Venezuela. I actually nearly moved a couple frac fleets out of El Dorado, but before Tom went bankrupt. Me and him nearly moved a couple frac fleets and probably about $100 million worth of oil field equipment. We nearly moved it to a barge, and then we were going to take it down to Venezuela. It just, unfortunately, the scenario, it was just a little bit funny at that point in time. And then come to find out, like, really the only path forward for El Dorado was a structured bankruptcy. So, and I wasn't running the show there. I never pretend, to be somebody that I'm not. That's the funny part that I've seen a lot lately. I don't know if it's just because it's been the holidays or whatever, but boy, there's just so much fraud and misinformation and the stock manipulators online. And it cracks me up because now, I think what a lot of people have always liked about me is that I always call people out and I say it what it is. And I never say something that I wouldn't say to your face. There's so many wannabes. And my biggest problem with X nowadays is that the verification gets given too easily. Nowadays, in my opinion, for somebody to be like a notable, call it a notable industry leader, right? To get like a verified check, why not have them verify their LinkedIn? That right there, let them verify their LinkedIn with who they say they are. And then number two, let them verify their Facebook profile or Instagram profile. I think that more strict and stringency needs to come back into verifications of quote unquote, like, I hate that term public figure. I always thought that was a goofy term, but at least like industry leaders, right? Because nowadays on X, everybody and their mother is like, an industry expert. I've been going back and forth with this clown Oil Butt. Turns out he has an inactive operator license. He has no recorded working interest. He's sitting over here claiming to be this big oil guy and has actually like a relatively sizable following on X. And it's all fraud. It's all scam. I even went so far as to make a few phone calls to my guys in the field. Man, they just fed me information. The guy's a hack, right? But he's out here quoting, and then he's spreading lies, saying, for example, that a lot of my leases were invalid because of a lack of production. Wrong. To think that I don't have a landman running title on staff, and to think that I don't have a reservoir engineer validating that title as they perform my reservoir economics, like, these people are such jokes to me. So I've been dealing with a lot of that. I hope you've had a good holidays, though. I mean, it just, what, like, people can say that I'm a little bit brash. People can say, oh, wow, like, I'd be embarrassed if he was my CEO. You know what? I don't give a fuck, okay? Because I paid for all this with my own money, okay? My retail investors are up 1,200%. At the same time, I report to nobody, okay? I share joint control with one other partner. And look at that stock chart. Look at that stock. I mean that, and you can validate it. You can validate this. I haven't spent $1 on investor relations. I haven't spent $1 on marketing. This is all organic. This is all real market. And we've driven damn near over $12 million of traded volume on the OTC without $1 of IR spent. So it's just, there's so many frauds out there, man, and it cracks me up. But my shareholders, I think our next biggest catalysts are going to be. I'm sorry, 1 second. What's up, buddy? You want your phone? Yeah. God love you. Sorry, my son is.
No, it's fine. I will say, why you're doing that the chart's a beauty. This was we were turned on to this one in about August or whatever, and I know you've had other successes too, but I was seeing people bitching, over the last couple of weeks. I'm like, it's the OTC, and the thing went from 8 cents, 9 cents to $2.50 freaking cents. like you want to say shut up, because like this is a beautiful and guys, if you're not,
but there's nothing that anybody can tell me, right? And what I mean by that, I'm obviously doing everything right by my shareholders, right? I haven't taken in an outside dollar of capital. Okay, there's nothing anybody can tell me and say, you know what, man, like you should have done this better. It's just not possible because we've done this perfectly. So, and then to all the people that are like, oh wow, you're a liar. You make all these outrageous claims about being the 21st largest West Texas.
I saw that.
Yeah. Guess what? Guess what? You can go on the Texas Railroad Commission website. You can look up all 9 operators that we purchased. You can look at the purchase and sale agreements that are signed, okay, within our documents on the OTC. We do our filings. We're not even required to. All right. So guess what? It's all real, and you fakes and frauds can just shut the fuck up, because I don't have fucking time for it. Right now, we're doing 180 to 200 barrels a day. All right. And that's with 10% of our wells online. And then you got a bunch of people who try to be, all of a sudden they know how to run economics on an oil well. They've never operated one a day in their life. Two barrels of oil a day per single well. My goodness. Okay, so that makes me on average about $1,700 to $1,900 per well. So now multiply that by 100. Okay, and that's before overhead. That's just operating profit. It's residual annuity based income. It's so people just don't get it. And then a bunch of people, oh, you can bear all the liability in the world, and all that rock that you have is it's depleted. Wrong. All you have to do is look up the counties that I have all my concentrated well ownership in. Okay, and then all you have to do is run well logs. But most of these people couldn't even do that. They didn't even know how. And I teach people how to do due diligence on my company, right? But running a well log, and then you see that in most cases, laterite production was never perforated, meaning that it was never had explosions shot out of the well, right, to kind of break the rock. 99 times out of 100, these wells were never fracked. And let me be clear, fracking a well traditionally would have cost about 500 to 600 grand before technology got so good that old technology was inadequate for the majors. So now I can frack a well, a 30,000 pound frack, for as little as 30 to 45 grand. That is a game changer. That can turn in some cases a 2 barrel a day well into a 30, 50. I've seen 150 barrel a day wells that, and it wasn't just like a one hit wonder. It's still doing 150 barrels a day 3 years later. Okay, so that's the beauty of the rock in the Permian, and it's so saturated with oil. So all these clowns that have an opinion, like, it's just for the birds. They're all for the birds. They're all wannabes. They're all consultants, which there's nothing wrong with being a consultant. I've been a consultant, and that's how I got to where I am, right? But, if you're going to take a shot at somebody that's doing it right, you better take that person down, right? And if you can't do that, then don't take the shot. That's just my gripe, man. Not trying to bitch and complain. It's just hysterical to me. And then people say, oh, you know what? You're so unprofessional. Oh, well, okay. How about this? How about you do what I just did? How about you go give shareholders a 1,200% return, stabilize, right? How about you go do that for your shareholder? Oh, you can. Okay. But then you can go online. You can gaslight me and my shareholders, okay, with misinformation. You can take, and this is my problem with the market makers. People always say, oh, that's a scam CEO tactic. No, it's not. I already proved to everybody online that Fintel.io shows actual short traded volume on a daily basis and outstanding available shortable shares. I already proved that to everybody. So that's real. It can be also tied back to daily trading logs. And my stock trades about 80 to 100 grand a day in cash. So, that's pretty substantial for an OTC. But now going over to the market makers, to me, it is a market maker failure. If you have a 120-day VWAP and over $6 million, okay, of traded stock occur, okay, at an average of $1.60, that's your equilibrium. That's your equal point, right? The market makers are going back too far. They're going back all 12 months from when we bought the ticker, call it about 14 months ago in October of 2024. So they're using that as their VWAP, which brings you down to $1. But that's why OTC stocks can rise with tons of traded volume that's bullish and then crash immediately because of I really don't understand it. I don't understand what market makers accomplish with that. They kill liquidity. I can tell you that they don't do their job, in my opinion. But sorry to cut you off. You know, I mean, I'm loud, proud, rep. You know,
no, I love it, and I like I said, been following you, and you hit on a good point, and you know, I'm glad. I'd rather see a CEO clap back at people and get engaged and basically tell people.
I hate to say it. Okay, this is not the NASDAQ. This is not the New York Stock Exchange. It's not even the American Exchange. It's not the OTCQX. Okay, the OTCQX, where you have larger institutions trading, that's when you see the CEO take a step back and say, all right, somebody else handle my social media because I really don't have time for this shit. But I don't have a choice because the bears and the shorts and the stock manipulators will crash your stock overnight and ruin all of your shareholders' value. So for a CEO on the OTC market to be chastised for standing up for his shareholders and their value that he worked his ass off to create, you want to criticize that? That's because you're not you, I'm talking about the person that's doing that, right? But that's because you're a fucking loser. You're like, that's what you should want in a micro cap CEO. Somebody that gives a fuck about his shareholders and actually does his job. So, you know, all these people, man, they're for the birds. Like, they're literally for the birds. And it's to the point now where it's like, you can pretty much, as a CEO on the OTC, you have to punch back. If you just let the punches, you'll never get anywhere, man. Your stock will never get anywhere. So everybody that tells me I'm doing stuff wrong, I just point back to the chart. You know, over the past 120 days, up 1,200%, you know, c'est la vie, right? C'est la vie.
It's crazy. It's funny, guys, for the OTC and protocol fans. I see Frank nodding backstage because he agrees with a lot of what you said, but which is great. And dude, you're spot on. And I will say, I want to talk about the tech because actually this goes true for mining too, because you see a lot of people taking these mines, and now with the new technology that they have, they're able to exploit these mines and make money off them and get more product than so. So could you tell us a little bit about how that happens and a little bit about the tech and why you've benefited so much from all this? You're kicking ass, man. You really are.
So the reason, okay, as a ladder life, I always joke with people. Think of me as like Section 8 housing, but for oil and gas. That's how I always joke with people, right? I'm not the brand new driller, and I will be. We've set ourselves up with extremely valuable deep rights and mineral acreage to be that driller. But that's not where we are at this phase within this company. Okay. And I'm, you know, for some reason, people think this is the only thing I've got going on. I own multiple companies. Okay. I manage multiple companies. I'm sorry, just 1 second. What's up, buddy? Yep. Okay. So here, Max. No, off. I'm online. No, you've got to go to your bathroom. Max, this is serious. No, this is serious, bud.
That's dude. All right. He does his thing. You do your thing. I do want to talk a little bit about the stock itself. Now, this thing ran like he was saying 1,200%. 1,200%. You know, that doesn't happen all the time in the OTC. But like I said, you know, if you look at the last 3 months, actually, I should pull the chart back up because I wanted to share this with you, and I also wanted to share the share structure with you guys. Hang on. So you know, it had this pullback here, but like, we're talking from 8 cents to $2.50. But I will also say, I want to look at the share structure. Held at DTC, there's only 13.9 million, 14 million at DTC. So we're looking good. We're looking good here. So go on with what you were saying. Go ahead, bud.
Oh, the pullback. So this is a site that I just found. Okay, I did not, because everybody goes to that OTC stock like short reports or whatever. That stuff, like, I'm not going to say it's good or bad. I've just never like found much value in it. But the Fintel.io is, I think it's a fantastic. It pulls real-time data from FINRA, and you can actually go back and do real stock analysis and say, wait a second, okay, this is how many shares short were traded this day, and the price went here. And I can also measure, you know, on other systems, the buys and the sells on a daily basis, right? I get access to that through OTC Markets or OTC IQ, I think is what it's called. But being able to analyze that and then say, oh, well, this is why the stock went down. Because think about what a short sale is, right? I borrow shares, right? let's just use my stock. The short borrows shares at $1.60, borrows everything that's borrowable. Let's call that 80,000 shares, right? Then goes and dumps 80,000 shares. That's what they're doing, right? They're selling down into the bid, thinking that with an OTC stock that they're going to cause all this fear and panic. Fortunately, my shareholders, they've been in this with me for 12 months, right? And they've gotten great returns. So do they get concerned? Of course. Do I get concerned? No, because I think that our fundamentals speak for themselves, right? So, and we've got a 9-figure asset on our balance sheet. And yeah, there is a 9-figure long-term liability on the balance sheet. But anybody that understands minerals, there's a 1% realization rate at most, maybe like 0.5% to 1% realization rate on an annual basis of that long-term liability. It's an environmental liability. Back over to your initial question about technology. So technology, we don't take advantage of the brand new technology. I don't have pockets for that yet. Okay. I've got to drive production and profitable production up, right, with what I have. However, the service companies, right, they won't, and they bought, old aged frac fleets that are like 2015. I mean, you go and you pick up a 2015 Mercedes Benz on a car lot. It's a great car. You know what I mean? But the super majors are so particular. And granted, I also own service companies outside of this that cater to the super majors. I have to have that brand new technology for whatever the service is, whether it be hydrovacs, dirt work, excavation. Okay. But so the aged frac fleets, call it the 2015 models, okay, when fracking really started taking off, even older than that in some cases, 2012, 2008 era even. Okay. They're great fleets. They work great. They still perform a frac. And so these little service providers were able to pick them up for pennies on the dollar from what their original cost was when they came back out, like in 2008 or whatever. So they buy them and they're able to offer an economically viable frac for someone like me. I'm not going to hit a grand slam every single time. To think that you're going to do that is foolish. But as long as I'm hitting, every 3 to 4 out of 5 wells. So if I'm drilling, let's just say I'm reworking 5 well increments. As long as I hit the well the right way every 3 to 4 times, holy cow. I mean, that's sick. That's amazing. As long as I hit it 1 to 2 times, right, that pays for everything, right? But and we can do this, over 1,062 times. So we positioned ourselves very well. It's really nice. In comparison to like a traditional business where you've got to go out and you've got to win the customers, you've got to win the work, right? My oil is sold before it comes even out of the ground. And I mean that theoretically, meaning like I'm not going to get rejected loads. I can go and shop for customers to buy my oil, if that makes sense. That's how competitive the market is. So it's nice, right? You can kind of relax a little bit and say to yourself, wow, like, I just need to worry about making the oil. I don't need to worry about whether the oil will sell, right? Mm-hmm. It's made. Now, who do I want to sell it to? There's literally more options than I can count. So, I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. I appreciate you answering that. I have one more question for you though. So, and you made it clear that it's not just about production. So, it's about building a premier Permian operator, creating shareholder value, and ultimately pursuing an uplift. So, as you look toward 2026, this year and beyond, what milestones should investors and stakeholders be watching that signal this platform is maturing into a top-tier public energy company?
Yeah, listen, and I teach people how to do due diligence on oil and gas companies. It's the same type of way that I do due diligence, so that when I make acquisitions, right? First things first, go with your gut, but your gut should always be driven by data. Okay. If it's oil and gas, my favorite tool is going to be Shale XP, just as far as like an analysis is concerned, because I can go on there and I can use that to easily scrape data nationwide at the state level. But again, this is for somebody that actually is an oil and gas guy or girl, right? They like oil and gas stocks. They want to see, more information and transparency. So Shale XP is great. If it's a Texas focused operator, you can just go straight to the Texas Railroad Commission website. right? So that's the best way to follow along outside of just the conventional channels like OTC markets or X and social media. LinkedIn is great. I was joking people. All these like know-it-alls on X. You go over their LinkedIn profile, they don't know anybody. They don't know anybody. I have 15,700 oil and gas or investor contacts and followers on LinkedIn, and you can only add 100 a week. Okay, so and then just because you add 100 a week doesn't mean that they're going to follow you back. So that's why LinkedIn is a very well established professional platform. I always say if you're doing due diligence on an oil and gas company, just like mine, stop number one, go to LinkedIn. Okay, and don't just see how many followers they have. Look at their engagement. All right. Step number two, go to their website. We're black and white on our website, PermianVision.com or oilfieldservices.ai. Okay. We tell you exactly what we do. We buy undercapitalized, high performing oil and gas operators in the Permian Basin, which we're very particular on our counties. We're very particular on what we look for. I'm not looking to buy one or two wells. All right. I'm looking to buy wholesale packages at 200 in the right counties. Okay. With upside potential. And I don't work with brokers. That said, if a broker came along and brought a great deal and was like a really awesome broker and just knew the game, I would work with them. But I don't need to because I get my acquisitions direct, okay, with the seller, okay, or the owner. So Shale XP is great. If it's Texas that you're focused on, Texas Railroad Commission, if it's Oklahoma or New Mexico that you're focused on, they have similar type of websites where you can pull data. I'm required to report to the state how much money I make, where I make it. That reporting then gets calibrated because royalties get withheld from my production checks. Okay, I probably couldn't do something about that if I wanted to, but customers are always going to withhold royalties and then pay those directly through division orders. Okay, so these are royalty owners. And anytime you have recorded working interest owner, it's at the operator's discretion. But but all of these things are maintained both in county court records as well as the Texas Railroad Commission. So if you hear a crazy oil guy like me make claims that sound too good to be true, you can literally go on my X. I list, same with my company website. I list, same on the OTC markets. You go to our disclosures. We list every operator that we bought, what we paid for in all stock transactions, and then the value of the transaction as a result of what's called an asset retirement obligation, and then the offset to that under US GAAP, which is an asset retirement credit, which is the asset that offsets the obligation. And the obligation is created by a cost evaluation performed by the state to determine what needs to be done to remove the well. And let me be clear, the retirement of oil and gas wells is probably close to less than 0.5% a year of the total well count. And the total well count increases substantially each year. I want to say about like 5,000 to 8,000 just in the West Texas Permian Basin. When you hear me talk about numbers, that's all I'm talking about right now, the West Texas Permian Basin. I'm not talking about East Texas. I'm not talking about South Texas. I'm not talking about the Gulf Coast. Okay, I'm not talking about Oklahoma or New Mexico or Montana or Ohio or Pennsylvania or West Virginia. Or Kentucky. I'm talking about Permian Basin, West Texas. And you can Google. People can Google what the Permian Basin, West Texas is with a county map. Okay, you can Google that. You can go on Shale XP or Texas Railroad Commission. You can look up all the operators that we bought out. You can see that all of our disclosures are real and verifiable. So, including our revenue.
Man, what a packed segment. I gotta say, you totally brought it. And I will say, guy, and I know you're referring because I saw you explain that on X, by the way. So that's why I know that's what you're referring to. Thank you so much for joining us. And guys, like I said, if you're not on X, get on X. Right, there's a ton of information out there. Josh, thank you for joining us for a segment. I hope to have you on. And
I will say this though, for anybody that's got a sharp comment, why don't you, if you're going to put a sharp comment on X, ask yourself, would I put this on LinkedIn? And if the answer is no, which it probably should be, then you should watch your mouth on X, because people don't realize this. People, I've been getting scrutiny too for telling people I'm going to sue them. I am. Just wait, Nick Nemeth, you're getting sued.
Third week, right? You said third week.
He's getting sued.
I read that.
Yeah, he's getting his ass sued. Jason
Wow.
Van Dyke, the fraud lawyer that sued me, trying to pass another person's debt. You don't even stand a chance in court. You can't pierce a corporate veil. You can't prove your claims. And on top of that, I didn't incur the debts that your clients have. Okay. So you have no idea what's coming, but it's a federal investigation, my friend, and it's not led by me. I can tell you that. It's led by a 3-letter agency. He has no idea. So, and these people are so arrogant, and they're on whatever pills that they're on, and they just think he's just all talk. Nah, I don't think so, because my shareholders suffered the consequences of your greedy actions or your stupidity. Okay. So if you think for 1 second that you can hide behind an anonymous avatar, you can't. Most of these people are so stupid that they don't realize that I can skip trace their contact information so that I can actually properly serve them rather than, waste months of trying to find them, in a dog and pony show. Kyle Mitchell, for example, right? A lot of people on X like to hide behind avatars. What they don't understand and realize is here's what ends up happening. If you pervasively defame and harass a corporate representative or a company, right, with misinformation and lies, okay, I can do what's called a John Doe lawsuit. A John Doe lawsuit means that I can either file as a John Doe to protect my personal information, or I can file myself against the John Doe and then get awarded a subpoena by court, take that to X or whatever social media platform. Guess what happens next? 2 things. More than likely, you get your entire account shut down, and any IP that they are able to trace back to you, you're done. Number 1. And then number 2, I then get your contact and public information, and I literally pull your fucking pants down, and set you on fire, because that's what you did with spreading all these lies and rumors. So all these people, Oil Mutt, he's got a nasty one coming to him, and that's not just me. That's me and another gentleman named Brent Franklin, who, to clear the record straight, yeah, I'm in a couple pictures wearing a Rise Capital FR. I've also been in quite a few videos and pictures at Brent's houses. Okay, just like Brent has been in a couple videos on my fields. Brent and I don't have a business relationship. We have a personal one. He's one of my best friends. I'm extremely proud of what he's done. He's a wildcatter. He's a driller. I am not. I will be, but Brent is not a ladder life producer. I am, right? So will we work together? Neither here nor there. He'll always be one of my best bros, a brother in Christ. Okay. And I'm always seeing ways that I can help Brent. He likes different types of deals than I do. I send them to him, just like I like different types of deals than he does. He sends them to me, right? But no, we don't have a business relationship. So the people that like to create all these falsehoods and rumors, just stop, because you're embarrassing yourself and you don't realize it. And not only that, but every time that you go online and you say something stupid, it will come back to burn you. And if you continue to pervasively do it, after I've warned you that if I warn you that I'm going to sue you and you keep going, you can bet your butt that I'm going to sue you for everything you got. And I will bankrupt you, because I don't have time for it. And my shareholders have suffered enough. So, appreciate the time, man.
No, absolutely. Josh, I look forward to having you on for another update, guys. Follow AZRH and follow Josh Wildcat on X. Thank you very much for joining us.
Howdy.
All right. Josh is always entertaining. All right, we're going to keep this going. We got Frank Iglesias from OTCM Protocol, from GRU, and from PNXP. So let's not waste time. Let's bring in the boss. Frank, welcome to the BFC. Welcome back, I should say. How you doing, man?
Great. Happy New Year, buddy. How are you?
Very, very good. And you know what? It was a very exciting end to 2025, with everything launching with OTCM Protocol, looking at the developments. And I know you've been active on the socials. You're always engaging. And I want to just share something. And guys, if you're not following OTCM Protocol at OTCM Protocol, you gotta follow him because he's on his 5th episode of basically discussing, just having great conversation with you guys one-on-one and explaining what is going on with OTC protocol, what's going on with the meme world. I actually I want to pick your brain a little bit, if that's okay.
Sure. Go ahead. No, of course.
So I do want to start with this, I want to talk about RWA, real world assets. All right. And so you've been posting. Yeah. You've been posting a ton on this. And I want you just to educate a little bit, talk about what are real world assets, why the tokenization of these things is growing, and where does OTC and protocol fall in the mix?
Sure. RWAs right now, it's a buzzword. So it's a buzzword just like AI. Okay. Back in 2018, we were doing tokenization of assets with the Bahamian government, with sunken treasure ships, and converting them to NFTs. But real world assets are predicted by 2030 to be a $16 trillion industry, trillion with a T. And we're talking about digitizing real estate, art, stocks, dividends, debts, you name it, any type of financial instrument, we're able to digitize it. Now, digitizing a stock, it's fairly, let's just say it's fairly easy. Okay. The problem is not digitizing it. The problem is going to be, how do you off ramp your investor? Okay. So what are you going to choose? Are you going to say, okay, I'm going to mint it in Ethereum. Okay. Well, Ethereum, yeah, they're a 30,000 pound gorilla, but what do they do? 30 transactions per second. The NASDAQ is doing billions of transactions a day in stock. That's not going to fly. And then where are you going to list it? In what ecosystem? What exchange? Binance, Kraken, Gemini, Coinbase? No. So what are you going to do? Go to Cardano? I love Charles. But it's very academic, the whole ecosystem. Very difficult to program using Haskell language. Their transactions, maybe they could clock 1,000, but still there's really nothing proven in the real world asset to mint in Cardano. Then, XRP, but, they spent the last 4 or 5 years defending themselves with the SEC. What applications are being created on XRP? So as you look at, where do I mint my real world assets so I could give value to my investors so they could eventually off ramp their investment? It comes down to one, it's Solana. They're clocking anywhere from 5,000 to 65,000 transactions per second. Okay. The gas fees are ridiculous, or pennies. Okay. Unfortunately, they do have a bad connotation because anything that has to do with meme token, people get scared and like, oh, they're the evil. But it's not. It has nothing to do with Solana. It has to do with the actors that are minting these types of tokens. Okay. So it's highly important to start understanding, where are these real world assets going to be minted, and how are the investors going to off-ramp their investment? See, one of the things that we're doing with OTCM protocol is we're creating a whole layer 2, because one of the most important things is the liquidity pool. If you take Radium, Jupiter, Meta, Orca, they don't, and I don't want to get too technical to bore people to death, but they don't use the Solana transfer hooks, the token 2022. So basically, what does that mean? That anybody that's smart enough could see inside the meme pool, and they could front run all the trades. They could sandwich you in as you're trying to do a trade and sell you your trade back to you at a 20, 30, 40, 50% increase.
And you
so
talked
you get
about
sandwiched
this.
in.
You talked about this in episode 5.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. So with OTCM protocol, we will be our own liquidity provider because these liquidity pools currently do not accept token 2022. And that way it gives us the ability to have these securities on these tokens where we're not allowing front running, where investors could truly invest and not bulks, okay? Because we could see the transactions of a bulks going in, 2-3 seconds to do a trade. When a human being, by the time they look at the trade, they hit enter, they go back to sell, they put it, on an average, it's 30 to 45 seconds. But these bots are trading at an enormous speed. One of the things that we're doing is that we're creating our own, what we call CDEX, a centralized and a decentralized hybrid of an exchange. So it's going to be centralized in the back end. So this way, all the transactions, right now, any transaction of any token in Solana, and in many other ecosystems, in the meme pool, you could see the transaction ready to go and be placed on the block. So all these bots attack these right there because they see what's going on. They see the amount that's going to be traded. They see the wallet where, it's decentralized. It's blockchain at its finest. We're going to centralize that back end where all that is encrypted and nobody could see it. This way, the trades of human beings, of real traders, are going to be kept secret. And bots cannot attack it and sandwich or do a maximum MEV on those transactions. Then, of course, on the front end, it's going to be totally decentralized, the whole exchange. This way, we could give the end user a platform where they could trade and they could feel safe that these tokens that are backed by a real company that have real shares that are held in perpetuity at the transfer agent at Empire Stock Transfer, which is our partner, and not only our partner, the owner, Patrick Morcross, is the COO of the company. All these are held in an institutional, regulated way, so they have a value. So we're estimated to finish. We did beta testing. We launched 3 tokens. This was more for beta testing to understand the real world scenario of what happens behind the scenes when people are buying and selling tokens. Okay.
And I will say with those beta tests, we launched them all differently. They were done in different fashion, and we had different results.
Correct.
And so I think that the beta test is great because it's going to give you data to go by and how to factor everything in with your layer 2 and all that good stuff. But that brings you right back to what you're talking about in episode 5, essentially, the safety, the safeguards. And we had, and I know you did this, safeguards in place for those tokens that were launched. And you had a token that was being flagged as a scam, but it wasn't, because it actually had more safeguards than the actual scam token. So it's almost like it's a system. And you talked about, here's the blue check mark. This is a good one. This is a approved coin. And it's sort of bullshit, isn't it? Like that the system is bullshit, and it's designed for failure in a way, and manipulation.
It's designed to, give credit to the scammers and not to the token holders. So I understand the whole decentralized world and blockchain and kumbaya and let's all hold hands and live in a caboose. But reality is, especially when you're talking about people's investments, there has to be regulations. And you have to protect the investors. You can't have a wild, wild west. So our whole platform, which we're trying to launch by April, mid-May, the latest, will have all of that encompassed, where all these issuers that we mint these tokens we'll have all these regulations so investors could feel safe when they purchase these tokens.
I do have a question.
Sure.
So everybody that took part in these tokens and these beta tests, are they going to get a chance to exchange their tokens for the actual launch? And how many other companies are going to be launching too, as we gear towards, late spring?
Yes, we will do a redeeming token with GRLF and MSPC and GRO. And all those ones that are holding tokens, we will exchange it. We'll do a KYC process. And then from there, we will, exchange them to the new tokens on our platform that are secured and has the 49 points of security for trading on our platform.
Right on. And I want to bring up something that you just put out there. You just updated the website. The website looks fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Like I said, and you could tell, there's going to be copycats. People are going to try and copy a great idea, but you're the OG, especially when it comes to tokenizing the OTC. But let's go through. So this is your home page. You can connect your wallet, and it has all the information here. But I want to talk about here's this. But I want to get where am I going here? So I'm going to talk about the portal. So talk a little bit about the Issuer's Gateway portal. What is this? If you're a company, if you want to tokenize your stock, what value of this is to them?
Okay, so what we do is we just don't take basically any company or anybody's word of mouth that, I want to tokenize my company's shares. So there is a gateway portal for issuers that they log in. We do a KYB, a know your business. We do a KYC, know your client. So they have to put their license or passport. They have to also put in information about their articles of incorporation. Where are they incorporated? Be it the state of Florida, be it Nevada, be it in Wyoming. From there, they have to do amendments to their articles of incorporation with the preferred shares and have all the bullet points of what these preferred shares must be, because they have no dividend rights, they have no voting power, they cannot be redeemed for common shares. So there is a laundry list of items that preferred shares have to handle. And that has to be uploaded in the state of that they're incorporated, and have all that documentation before we mint the token. And then the certificate itself goes to the transfer agent, where it's held under OTCM protocol in perpetuity as we mint these tokens.
Got it. All right. What are we looking at here now? There's a ton of information here. If you haven't, it's otcm.io. All right. That's where you're going to find the homepage. But you have tons of information here. Your white pages. How many? What's your white paper? How many pages is that?
I think it's around 300 plus.
Yeah. I told him I got this. And if any of you guys want it, just email it to me. Or like, this thing is like, I have to print it because I can't read it online. I'm one of those book people. I need the sheets. You know what I'm saying? So, tell people what this involves. I mean, like, everything here, what are we looking at? And what on the white paper, what details do we have there?
The basically otcm.info is our wiki site. And that's where we publish our white paper. We publish findings that we do. There's a part there that you could click. It has to do with the securities of the tokens that we launched. There's a report of the findings that we have, the real world findings. So it's a place that we put all our documentation. As we build this software, which we're already in the past the beta testing phase, we document the software because we will get it audited, because the software itself has a huge value. So it's not only, we are doing this and we're saying we're doing this. It is, here's our wiki page. We're going to make our GitLab open once we launch our our platform in April. We'll open our GitLab, and we'll also have our portal that has to do with project management, because that's where all our software developer guys. So currently, right now, I'm in Medellin, Colombia. That's where I live, and this is where we have our software developer guys between Colombia and Venezuela, and all this we have it in our project management software as we do step by step everything about the software. And once we launch it, it'll be all open source. People could see it. It's there for everybody to view, and we'll have it audited by a top tier software auditing company.
Unbelievable. It's a remarkable project. Now, I want to ask you about now the SEC published your paper. All right. So could you tell us a little bit about that? It was a pretty cool thing there. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. In the crypto, what's it called here? Give me a second, please, just so I could pull it up.
No, it's impressive. Well, it just goes to show that, I mean, because you have the SEC in mind when you're doing this. You have regulations and rules and structure in mind while you're doing this.
Correct. So the crypto task force of the SEC, there is a portal side to it that has to do with written inputs, and that you could send, and they look at it, they review it, they publish it. It's meant more now for a collaboration. One of the most beautiful things that's happening right now with the SEC and with the current administration is how they're allowing companies like Groovy, aka Santo Mining, be able to interact with them and throw ideas back and forth. And all of a sudden, we're not the bad guys anymore. We're working in conjunction with the SECs. You have it with Securitize, you have it with Sindel Securities, DTC. All these big companies now are all leveraging and talking directly with the SEC, with the crypto task force, to be able to say, hey, we are tokenizing. So real world assets is happening. It's not going to be a fad. It is going to explode. Everything's going to be converted to a digital format. Okay. And yes, there'll be regulations and guidelines, and we just want to be there, and we want to make sure that we could copy and put in the code all these regulations and guidelines to protect the investors when they start, purchasing tokens.
Right on. I want to move to talk a little bit about PNXP. Right now, that's one of my favorite plays. I've actually been talking to people about that, and I'm a shareholder, so while I have you here, I want to ask, how are we looking at PNXP for a good rebound year over in quarter one? How are we looking here, and just to any other PNXP shareholders? I know I bought PNXP for a long time now, but now that I have you here, I sort of just want to ask you, like, what are the plans? And I know you guys did a little bit, a big pivot. And so, talk a little bit about that.
PNXP at the moment, we're cleaning it up just like we're cleaning up Groovy. We have Groovy losses 15C to 11. It's trading on the expert market. We are looking into, now that the new year started, we're going to start looking into some stacks where we could move GROO. PNXP, we're going to pivot it into the real world asset loan. So now, yes, everybody's going to be minting real world assets. So I have property, I have maybe stock that I minted, and we go back to, we need a platform where investors could exit out of their positions. But maybe there are investors that don't want to exit out the positions, but need a little bit of liquidity, need a little bit of cash, and we could turn around, and we are a pawn shop for real world assets. So they could turn around and loan and get loans off of their real world asset tokens that they have. So that'll be something that we're bringing up with PNXP.
Right on. Well, that's exciting. That's very exciting. It's a step away from the whole the cannabis operations, you know. So this is like it's like the tail end of like the beginning of the show. You know, the
Yeah.
exact
Yes.
opposite. And everything, you know, I see, you know, the digital assets, the what do you call it again? I know you used the term pawn shop, but like you could borrow against using your digital assets for whatever uh whatever you need them for, essentially, right? I mean, if you want to get filings done or you know something like you could do it for
Correct.
that, right? To get current
For that, or as even
audits.
as somebody audits, correct, or even somebody personally. I mean, you could have one of the things that I was working on back before COVID was fractionalizing masterpiece artworks, and I did with a couple of galleries. I did a a Andy Warhol fractionalization of an artwork. So we live in a world where 99% of the artwork is owned by less than 1% of the population. I mean, I would say it's 0.001. Okay, and it's assets that get transferred by generations to generations. So yes, I mean, as much as I would love, I'm a big Salvador Dali fan, and as much as I would love to buy a Salvador Dali, I cannot afford it. You know, it's a couple $1,000,000. Now, if we grab that artwork and we fractionalize it, okay, and now there is 1,000 fractions, 10,000 fractions, I could own a fractionalization of this artwork for $10,000. This artwork now is in a custodialship. That's part of the gotcha with real world assets. Where is it going to be custodialship? You know, so that artwork now sits in the Louvre, sits in MoMA, sits in the Getty's Museum, where they're holding custody of that real asset. And then all of a sudden there is 1,000 people that own a fraction of that art. And they turn around and give that art to generation, to their kids, to their grandchildren. And all of a sudden now all these masterpieces come down to the, you know, to the population. Anybody now could own a piece of a masterpiece. So, and that applies to real estate and
No, I was gonna say, so just to wrap my brain around, so the fractionalization, let's use that art piece. You got 1,000 fractions of it. Each fraction is worth 10,000. The holder or the custodialship would be at the Louvre or wherever it would be. And would there be a documentation there that says, all right, boom, these are the owners of this piece, the digital owners of this piece?
Oh, of course. I mean, when you go to the museum, you always see on the artworks, there's a little plaque that shows who is the owner. Sometimes it's a corporation, it could be a family, it could be a fund. So this would be, let's say there would be like an LLC that'll be controlling it, and all the owners will show up there. And it could even show up with the wallet addresses of all those owners. It could even be done. It could be even done in a QR code format, where people that go to the museum, they just scan it and poof, it's right there in their face.
Do you think we're going to get to the point where there's going to be a digital museum, like literally a centralized database, be it for art? Let's use art for example, because we're on the art track. There's going to be the digital art museum, where you have renderings of these pieces, but you also have, you know, a representation of who owns these pieces. You could have interviews of owners or people that have taken, you know, advantage of. I mean, I don't want to go down the NFT route right now, but do you think that's a place where we could go, is maybe a digital museum? And that, like I said, that's just art, but we're talking, I mean, this is going to happen for everything. It's going to happen for Babe Ruth's rookie card, you know, or whatever. It's going to happen.
I do envision a place that are bunkers that are protected by earthquakes. You know, the last World War II, how many artworks did we lose? how much artwork was stolen. You know, unfortunately, war is part of human beings. It's part of our nature, and the natural disasters. We're going to have places where all this is stored, but then we're going to have places where all the value is digitized, and being able to hold it and sold and trade it as a financial instrument in the world. You know, and that could even get crazy as we go to space and Elon Musk and going to Mars. And then all of a sudden I'm living in Mars and I have a representation of the Mona Lisa that I own. So yes, I do believe we will have all that in the future.
Oh, right on. There's a lot that we're going to get into over the next couple months. And I look forward to having you on just to keep us updated. I know people are, and actually Jamie just put this out there, PNXP becomes a funding solution option for issuers who need it. So I like, see, you said that much more quickly and easier as I was wrapping my brain around it. But I love that. I think, I don't know, I love the stock PNXP. I love it. I'm watching it. I'm buying it. Not financial advice. This is just, and this is not paid promotion. This is just me sharing my stock with you. But yeah, no, I want to keep the BFC crew updated, keep the OTC updated on, the success and the development, I should say, of the level 2 for OTC and protocol, because we are just getting started. And the work that you've been putting in, I know behind the scenes, you are busting your ass.
Thank you.
Day in and day out. And I will wake up and check my phone at 4 a.m. and he's like showing me work that this guy's like, you are the living embodiment of coffee, I will say.
Yep. Well, remember, $16 trillion by 2030. 16 trillion will be tokenized.
I'm writing it down. 16 trillion will be tokenized by 2030.
By 2030, I think it was written by the just Boston Consulting Group.
Okay.
And I mean, BlackRock is in there, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. It's the buzzword for 2026.
It is going to be a fun ride, and come down anytime. Give us an update. I know we're going to be doing some spaces. We're going to start spaces in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, guys, that's why I say get on X too, so that way you could join us for spaces. Man, this was our closing guest. We still have a lot of due diligence to do, by the way. But Frank, I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you
for the contributions that you're bringing to OTC tokenization and tokenization in general, because you are light years beyond everybody else and anybody that's even thinking about it. So great work.
Thank you. Well, everybody, happy New Year, happy 2026, and in about 5 days, I'll do my episode 6 of Rant and Some Rave. So I had to put that plug in there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Thank
All right. Frank, have a great night.
You bet.
Rant and Some Rave. Honestly, it's great stuff. What an awesome guest. Maybe this was a really fiery episode. We had Gabe Diaz, we had Josh Cohen, and we had the boss. I call him the boss, Frank Iglesias. Man, so much information there. And you know what? I've just started in the last year getting it, like, soaking my brain into this crypto stuff. But this guy's knowledge base is light years beyond where most people are. So if you're not following him, he's giving me the thumbs up backstage. If you're not following him, please do. And guys, check out his episodes of Rant and Some Raves at OTC and Protocol. He's going to be putting on episode 6 probably on this week or next week. So make sure you check it out. All right, I don't want to waste any more time. All right, what are we doing? Oh, we're already at an hour and 35 minutes for this episode, but I have some due diligence that I have to bring you, so I can't stop, and I'm going to keep going. I know we are going to talk, and I'm going to talk fast, and I'm going to get this party started or keep this party going, whatever we're saying. BLEG, yes, I just bought some of the stock the other day. It looks like it's ready to move, and I'll show you why. This is my opinion. All right, December 29th, our branded legacy has officially retired. By the way, the old management was on the BFC, and we did interview them. Has officially retired $1 million in legacy convertible debt, removing a major overhang, reducing dilution risk, and strengthening the balance sheet. New management, cleaner structure, focused execution. All right, talk about new management. New management is Dr. Jamie Forrest. All right, so He has a whole bio out there. Make sure I think it's jamieforrest.com, but here he is. My research examines how digital technologies can be deliberately designed, adapted, and governed to minimize health disparities and promote health equity. By the way, he does talk a lot about deep fakes and how they could negatively affect people and the health industry, if I'm correct. All right, because this is a new DD dive. So if I mess anything up or get anything wrong, let me know so I could, correct it. Leveraging strengths in global health partnerships and interdisciplinary inquiry, I investigate interconnected challenges that emerge when digital innovation disrupts conventional health research methods and practice norms. Currently, as a postdoctoral fellow at the University of British Columbia, my work examines how the adoption of artificial intelligence, the spread of digital misinformation, and shifting models of governance are reshaping public health emergency response on a global scale. Looking ahead, my aim is to unite ecosystem level analysis with practical implementation tools for policymakers and practitioners. So, all right, let's keep going. And by the way, he is a co-founder of Counterforce. I look it up, counterforce.tech. So real-time defense for the information era. And this is basically to snuff out any deep fakes that, I believe, or misinformation, boom, like that. I'd love to have this guy on the show because I'd like to learn more about this platform. But here's the team: Dr. Jamie Forrest, PhD, and Dr. Megan Thumoth. Thumoth? I don't know how you say that. But combined 40 years of frontline and respected thought leadership. All right, so let's go on to the PR. Branded Legacy Incorporated announces successful retirement of legacy convertible debt as new management focuses on balance sheet optimization and OTC yield sign removal. All right, and last I checked, the yield sign is still there, but there it is. The successful elimination of approximately $1 million in legacy convertible debt through direct negotiations with debt holders who had already realized substantial returns on their original investments. The company reached an agreement to retire these obligations on highly favorable terms. This is great news. Achieving this milestone will enhance transparency and accessibility for shareholders. The company will continue its policy of disclosing only material events that have occurred, maintaining clear, factual, and milestone-based communications. It's going to be matter of fact, and they're going to give you what they do as they do it. All right. And this is another thing that they said they were going to do. Transparency. Once again, follow them on X. Transparency update for BLEG shareholders. Effective immediately, the outstanding share count will be updated daily on this account. Now, obviously, they're not going to do it over the weekend, but there it was. Ever since that moment, they've updated every single. I'm looking for that update tomorrow. I want to see them continue to do this, just like they said they were going to do. So, lots to look at here, and I'm keeping this one on my radar. And we did put out a poll, by the way. We did put out a poll. Starter position acquired. Let's see if new management team at Branded Legacy has the ability to bring it. What do you think? Drop a comment. We did have some conversations down there, but 69% says they will bring it. 31% says nope. Oh, come on, guys. New management, new time, new fun. I'm rooting for these guys. I want a nice win. I think this is a trip to rip. I'm calling it right now. I think this one's going to be a winner. Just my opinion. Don't kill me if it's not. But hey, this is my opinion. I think there's nowhere to go but up for this one, especially with new management coming in. And hey, who do we have here? Jim K, E-Rock, and E-Roll. Happy New Year. Success. Yes. Cheers, Jim K. All right. Let's keep it moving here. I want to talk about this one as well. Now, I think there's tremendous upside with BLEG. I think there is huge upside right here with ticker HWAL. And I'm starting to put some of the pieces together, but I think that the time has finally come. And by the way, this thing went on a couple runs earlier this year, and this is one that we've covered for like 2 years now. I liked it, especially as a music stock, but things are starting to turn a little bit. So we got to pay attention to these PRs. All right. Let's start here. HWAL Incorporated announces new appointment to its board of advisors and plans to open international office in Qatar. All right. So they recently had a board announcement of Mr. Ahmed Akil. I don't know if that's how you say that. I don't, but it says in preparation for global growth and acquisition of real world assets. Whoa, wait 1 second. Holy crap. We were just talking about that with our guest, Frank Iglesias. All right. So people are pivoting. People are moving into where they think there's going to be $16 trillion in this by 2030. All right. So in preparation for global growth and acquisition of real world assets with within the industry sectors of sports and music entertainment, AI and blockchain technologies, hydrogen energy technologies, oil and gas, gold and other minerals. Man, they've covered it all here. Roxy, you've covered it all. HWAL announces the appointment to its board, is advisory board of Mr. Ahmed Akil, based in Qatar. And so Ahmed Akil is a highly regarded financial market analyst and economic expert with extensive experience in global and regional markets, frequently featured as a trusted voice on leading international and regional financial platforms, including CNBC, Arabia, Bloomberg, and Al Jazeera Media Network. So, I did a little digging, and I think this is our man. There he is. It's right down there. So, from 2014. So, I think it's the guy. I don't know it's the guy. You just got to this is just me surfing the web, and I think this might be the guy. So, that's on the new advisory board. So, I want to go to the most recent PR. They engaged in international investment advisory firm Qatar Counseling Incorporated. I'm looking there, and I'm looking here. Well, let's put two and two together. And this is the real juicy part with this one, guys. I'm excited about this one. I don't care. I don't want to hear you never told us about it when it's sitting at 8 cents and it goes to $1. I'm not saying it's going to go to $1. See, I always got to watch my ass with you guys. Qatar Consulting Incorporated has prioritized its global advisory services to support HWAL's strategic growth in the following areas: to solicit potential buyers for HWAL's iconic music and entertainment catalog, to identify, evaluate, and procure income-producing and asset-rich merger and acquisition opportunities. Okay, down below, the shareholders of HWAL own an amazing and comprehensive music catalog with over 27,000 songs from a number of the world's best-known artists, the kind of asset most investors in this space could only dream of owning. And Roxy, she did a presentation for the BFCVC, and if you haven't watched it, check it out. We're going to do another virtual conference very soon. I'll let you guys know when that's up, but think about this: to solicit potential buyers for HWAL's iconic music and entertainment catalog. Now, look at this stock. All right, to zoom out, back in the day, it had about the same share structure. All right, and this thing ran. I know what some of you are thinking. Oh my God, it was 2021. Everything was pumping. No, this was a little prior. This made its move. It went from like I don't know, like a little to a lot. No, this thing ran to oblivion. All right, to cents to $20, and I think it's getting ready to do the same thing. I can't guarantee that, but I think that this thing is starting to move and groove a little bit. And don't forget, there was low volume there. It wasn't crazy volume, but there was trading volume. There's trading opportunities. And that's why I want to bring you to where we're at right now. I think that, we had a couple nice bumps. We're talking below a penny. We started talking about this a while ago when it was down here, and it popped up to 17 cents, 20 cents, whatever it was, the high of the day. Boom, came back down below 5 cents. Boom, popped back up to 15 cents, and a couple nice high volume days. And now we're just seeing more movement, more people acquiring shares, and a nice consolidation here, for this in the last 3 months. So I think we're just getting ready to get this party started. I think we're going to see a lot of PRs. That's my opinion. I think that this one's going to be a big ass winner in 2026. And I want to connect this dot. All right. They mentioned that they're going to be settled. Let's talk about. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I did want to bring this up because this was a key point back in September. Hollywell is pleased to announce that it has reached a settlement with the lender that resolves the pending litigation between them and the district court for Clark County, Nevada. All right. The matter has been settled under confidential terms without admission of wrongdoing by either party. The settlement allows the parties to avoid the expense and inconvenience of continued litigation and allows Hollywell to concentrate on executing strategic initiatives, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So this is their only convertible note that was in their filing. And so I think that this is what they're referring to. And I'm gonna confirm that, but that means there's virtually no convertible debt at this point because they've reached a settlement on this. And I'm looking back, the date was matured 2022. And so I think this is what they basically did. All right, and I want to bring it back here. All right. They talk about an asset. They talk about the catalog. All right. And it says right here, Hollywell reaches settlement in Nevada litigation. Asset valued over, right after they settle, of course, asset valued over $150 million. Like, okay, I'm putting two and two together. I think this is going to, because if they sell this catalog, if the value is, if they have a bid on it, I don't know how they're going to sell it or what their plans are. They're looking at $150 million on the books. Crazy stuff. And if you look at it, share structure is absolutely gorgeous. And for what we just talked about, the market cap is relatively low, like super low, 11 million. And, right now held at DTC's 20 million, super low flow. And this thing could move quickly. We obviously have some unrestricted shares here. They haven't transferred over, but we'll see what happens. All right. All right, I want to talk about ticker MATAF. This is a new add to the BFC. And let's get into it. Let's look at a little bit. This is initial due diligence. I'll be posting on this one more. And so Matador is a movement committed to championing financial sovereignty and redefining how value is created, stored, and shared in the digital age. At the heart of our mission is Bitcoin, the most transformative financial technology of the 21st century. All right. These guys are at 16 cents, OTCQB. We've been watching them last week. I've mentioned it on X. Their profiles verified, penny stock exempt, 12G3s in, transfer agents verified, independent directors based out of Toronto. There's their website. I'm not going to pull up their website right now because these slides were put on here or whatever. So shame on me. I usually do the website, but whatever. I didn't do it this time. I'll do it in another due diligence video. Right now, the market cap 16.5 million and held at DTC is only 5.5 million. So you just blow on this thing and it will move. And that's sort of what it's done over the last a couple days. And I'll get into that in a second, but I want to get into a couple of their recent PRs and sort of just like make it simplify it for you. The company is pleased to announce that it has entered into an amended secured convertible note facility with ATW Partners dated as of November 3rd, 2025. All right. The facility will be used to exclusively purchase Bitcoin from Matador's balance sheet. The initial tranche under the facility, totals 10.5 million in closing, with an additional 8.5 million available in follow-on drawdowns, subject to the receipt of all regulatory approvals and other specified conditions, including and the execution, of a registration rights agreement with the investor. All right. And basically this is, and by the way, and Super Robot mentioned this for MATAF, it's an undervalued Bitcoin play that already has a top 50 corporate treasury. So these guys are already loading. They've been loading the Bitcoin. But guess what? Their goal is to acquire up to 1,000 Bitcoin by 2026. Now, I want to simplify this for you. All right. And just sort of put this in plain English. So Matador lined up to $1 million in institutional financing, starting with 10.5 million. And every single dollar of that money is earmarked for buying Bitcoin, not salaries, not operations, just Bitcoin on the balance sheet. That's it. The structure is a convertible note. And we've all talked about convertible notes, which means, it starts as a loan with interest, and then the lender could choose later to convert that debt into shares at market-based prices instead of forcing dilution right now. All right. So the Bitcoin they buy is also being used as collateral. So this isn't unsecured leverage. So if Matador successfully uplists to a major exchange, the interest rate will drop. All right. Right here. No uplist, higher rate. All right. Very simple. So the incentives are clearly aligned here. They are. So they did remove some long-term Bitcoin target language after a regulatory review, but they cleaned it up. They did what they had to do, but the core strategy didn't change. So this is about increasing their Bitcoin per share in a disciplined institutional way, not chasing hype or making unrealistic promises. So they're moving in the direction to create maximum value on their books. And they're going to probably want to avoid, they want the uplist so they could avoid those high interest rates. So I'm actually going to post this little infographic on the X, and we'll do that. We'll do that so you guys could take a look at it. Let me know what you think about MATAF. Like I said, this one has just been added to the BFC watch list. We're going to be watching this closely during Q1. So chart wise, hey, whatever. It is looking nice. It was what, 9 cents, and now it's up to 17 cents. And actually, a more in-depth chart will show you that this point right here, 1792, good year. 1792 is right where the resistance is, and I think that could become a new support. And this one looks like it's in a reversal. I know the robot thinks so, and I think so as well. This one's looking nice. And when you zoom out, like I said, look at that nice reversal here. And then you zoom out, this is a prime opportunity. So I'm not going to say how much this could do, but there's room for growth. All right, especially with all the crypto regulations and all the attention that XRP, Bitcoin, and all these stable coins are getting. So let's talk about one that we've been chatting about on the BFC a little bit, at least on the X, PFSF. All right, so this is a newer play, but there's a lot of opportunity with this one. Let's go back and look at their November 11th PR. Pacific Software Incorporated announces exclusive partnership with Spectrochip Global. All right. Let's see. The common stock is now quoted on OTC market platform. The Pure Minds management team, all right, has assumed leadership roles and is considering a corporate name change to Pure Minds Enterprises pending approval by FINRA. So further details will be announced as they become available. So I think what's going to be happening is the name and ticker change. So yes, that's going to be a catalyst with this. These things can take some time. So if I get a chance to talk to management, I'm going to ask them about the name and ticker change. So in addition, Pure Minds today unveiled an exclusive global partnership with Spectrochip Incorporated and Spectrochip Global Incorporated, marking a major milestone in its precision neuromedicine strategy. All right. So what is Spectrochip? We'll get to that in a second. And see, Janet Shi, founder of CEO of Pure Minds, says this partnership represents a sustainable new revenue pathway with near-term revenue generation expected to begin in 2026, this year. It also underscores our commitment to advancing the future of precision neuromedicine, building a 4P medicine, predictive, preventive, personalized, and participatory healthcare ecosystem. So I'm not going to pretend to know all the medical terms, but I will say that it seems like they're ready to. And look, they actually have YouTube, and they have a whole 4-part, 5-part series that they've been putting out there. So if you want to educate yourself, go on the Pure Minds YouTube. And so this is, all right, Spectrochip, founded in 2018 by Associate Professor Cheng-Hao Ko. All right, Dr. Ko from the National Taiwan University specializes in the research, development, and manufacturing of Spectrochip technology and related applications. All right, so guys, well accredited. Obviously, I want to learn more about the Spectrochip, but based on Spectrochip technology, we integrate communication, IoT, and cloud technologies to develop compact and multifunctional spectroscopic detection instruments. So lots going on here. These instruments find applications in medical bioanalysis, which is in line with what Pure Minds is doing, food safety, environmental monitoring, pharmaceutical control, and more. By overcoming the limitations of bulky detection devices, our instruments can be easily carried out and used for on-the-go, precise, and rapid quantitative analysis, replacing many functions of laboratory equipment without requiring specialized personnel. They meet the diversified testing needs in different fields in a simple, fast, accurate, and versatile manner. And they actually have a really cool beam of light video on their website. So, check that out. Dig in this Spectrochip, guys. And it's official, the ownership, they've now taken over. Janet Chi, James DiPrima, and Angelo Pizzuto. I think I said that properly, but they are now in control of this ticker. So the change of control has happened. So you're going to keep an eye on it, because when the change of control happens, that's when we're going to see a lot of these PRs and catalysts. And another thing is, they have a lot of outstanding shares, but as of right now, held at DTC, 9 million. Always look for notes, always look for conversions, because when these companies do roll in, they get funding, and that's where a lot of this funding comes from lenders. So right now the market cap also is 57 million. Keep an eye on this one. This one has a lot of like I said, a lot of potential. And yeah, over the last, I don't know, darn it, I didn't copy this properly, but over the last 2 months, this has moved up. It was down below, was 2 cents. Now it's just below a dime. Actually broke a dime twice. So I don't know. Keep this one on your radar. I think this has a lot more room to move, especially if they drop some news and keep communicating. I know they've been communicating on their X page and on their YouTube. They've been putting stuff out. And so the last one I want to talk about today, actually, I may announce a couple other updates, but DRCR. All right. The board of directors has approved a strategic restructuring designed to unlock shareholder value, improve capital market alignment, and support a planned major exchange initial public offering of the company's high growth technology businesses. All right. This was a very, very meaty PR. All right. And so, listen, by separating these businesses into two focus entities, the board believes DRCR can accelerate growth of the technology platform, create a clean and efficient path to a major exchange via IPO, preserve and enhance value for DRCR shareholders, and enable each business to pursue strategies best suited to its market. All right. I put together this infographic basically summarizing the pros and the cons, like the pros. This is what this what do you call it? Oh my God. This is what this PR has been. A long show. Man, this has been, now what a way to kick off the new year. And I know a lot of you were asking about DRCR, so I had to do this, but here's the simple version. All right, DRCR, they didn't just wake up and they're like, oh, we're going to just shuffle some paperwork. All right. They reached a point where their gaming technology business is actually big enough to stand on its own. Instead of forcing an ugly uplist, which we've seen them attempt to do, or jamming everything into one structure, they're doing something smart. They're spinning out the tech into a clean, all right, purpose-built company that can go after a real major exchange IPO. If you're a DRCR shareholder, nothing gets taken away. You keep your shares, all right, as it's notated here. You keep your shares, and if you meet the threshold, you also get equity interest in the new IPO company. So that's two paths to potential value, not one that we have here. On top of that, the founders aren't selling. They're staying locked. And DRCR itself isn't going anywhere. It's lining up its own acquisition for the next growth phase. All right. So this isn't a pump or a reverse split or dilution, or like this isn't, it's asset separation. And if they're trying to do it the right way, and it gives shareholders a seat at the table for what could be a much bigger story down the road. But now this is going to create two opportunities. And I will tell you, and like I said, we've seen it happen, but the share structure for DRCR, guys, it's the same as it was for the last 3 years. Like, they are very responsible. I think James Gibbons, the way he manages the Swifty global business, has done a great job. This company, if you look at the financials, and listen, we've been at it 2 hours. I'm not going to dig through the financials. I have. Do the due diligence and actually check, like I said, join X, because we're sharing a lot of information. The financials are great. All right. These guys are profitable. They have some of the best financials in the OTC. So when that deal went through with SGN, when they got screwed over there, when they were supposed to uplist, they said, all right, we got to take a step back. We got to go back to the drawing board. How are we going to do this? And I think they're doing this in a way that is going to be beneficial to shareholders now. And listen, last time we called the stock, it was 3.354. It was 3.5 cents, and it ran up to 30 cents. All right. Now it's back in that range again. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited about it. I think this is a perfect opportunity, not just to get an IPO, but to also play the acquisition that could be rolling in. So CVAT, I did want to mention CVAT and BCBC. I look forward to having these guys on in the next week or so. We got to plan a roundtable, because I know these guys have a partnership with BCBC, and we're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna get them on here. So really, that's all I got. That's a lot of due diligence, but those are some stocks that I think could do tremendously well in Q1. That's all I got today. But I'm glad to be back. We're going to be doing this every Sunday. I already have some people lined up over the next couple of weeks that are going to be coming on to do due diligence. and live Q&A, and I'm going to keep doing these little due diligence dives. And I just want to thank everybody for joining me. And I'll be segmenting this information out and dropping it over the course of the next day or two, so that way everybody on X gets it too. But other than that, Happy New Year to everybody. That's all I got. Remember, there's more that binds us than breaks us. Peace out, guys.